Okay, so we're going to start looking at training contacts. So I've got a couple of little bits set up here. This one's just a yoga mat. It's on some MDF because we're at the field. At home you can literally just use a yoga mat. You could use a towel, you could use anything really, to give them the idea of something. Now I would suggest you want something that is obvious. So this is a really good one to start with because it's a raised platform. It is just a fitness platform. I've taken all the legs off, so it's only not even 10 centimetres, 8 centimetres raised off the ground. It just makes it more obvious for the dogs than something flat at this time, which helps them line themselves up a bit better. So I'll show you with this one first, and then we'll do it with this one. She knows what she's doing, look at this. We've done this before. Right, so let's do it so you can see it. Let's do it that way round. What we're going to do is ask the dog to do stop with 2 feet, back feet on, 2 front feet off. Good. And that is literally it. I'm going to try and get her onto it. I'm going to coax her forwards until she's in this position and she gets treats for being in this position. So I can coax her on with a treat. Good. Now I'm pushing her a little bit, so you may well have to do something a lot slower, right in front of her face. There, and just treat for that. If she stays there, brilliant. You can give them another treat. You can ask them to wait and give them another treat. Good. Send them off again. Set them up. Bring them round. Good. And hopefully they'll just get used to this position. So when they've started getting the position nicely, consistently, you can start giving it a cue. So pause is what I use. So this would be pause for her. All we're doing is bringing her on and leaving her in that position. 100 times to get it like this. Just round. If you feel like you need to give them a little bit of a helping hand to go backwards onto it, you can do that. Now to get them to walk backwards, leave it. The treat comes into their chest, if you can get out of the way of their mouth, and push back. There you go, now she's done it. You just push back that way. You don't have to push them, as it were. You should just be able to, there we go, get them to move backwards. So that can help as well, so you can help them out. Now, if you are teaching your dog to go backwards for the first time, I would suggest you use it lengthways because it's much easier for them to do it. You'll find that they snake their way round, and you can give that a name. So you can go pause like that, so they get used to going backwards and they get used to going forwards, and it's all just the same situation. Pause. Good. Then hopefully when they've done this 500 times, they will be so secure in this position that you can come over here, good, and say pause, and they'll find it themselves. That's where we want to get to, because then we know they know what it is. You will have to spend a long time at this first bit, getting them to this position, before they will figure it out. This is not something that's normal for them. They might feel that they have to put all of their body on it. A really common one is just sitting on it, not in this position, but sitting just on the thing. That's really common. You have to really coax them forwards to that idea that the back feet stay on, the front feet come off. Now, this is where it's really important that your timing is impeccable, because you need to be able to say, good, the second that they get into this position, because you may only have a second before they move on. If you have to faff around with getting a treat out and giving it to them, putting it in their mouth, they may well be over here. You need them to get used to the idea that good or yes means they're going to get a treat. If they hear good, she should be looking for my hand because she knows a treat's coming. If you click a tray, exactly the same thing, just use your click, immediately they get in the correct position. Now, this is obviously a stopped contact. What it means is they get to the end and they stop. Once you've done it on the one board that they know, you need to start moving it on the road. Because if they get used to a colour, a sensation, a feeling, a particular height, they may stop understanding that it means the same thing in lots of different places. Even in agility, you've got the dog walk, which is a different angle and a different width to the A-frame. You've got the seesaw, which is obviously moving, is much more exciting. All of these things are slightly different anyway, let alone the fact that the angle of that is really different. The rubberized A-frame is really different to this, the feeling. So you need them to be really secure in this. So now you can start moving on to something else. This is harder. Pause. Because she needs to feel the edge where there's no drop. Pause. Pause. Yes. Now did you see she stopped on it? Good. So I'm going to give her lots of treats to getting it right. Okay. Pause. Yes. Now she should realise that the yoga mat and the grass feel different. Now this is the good thing about the stopped contacts, because they are looking, or they're feeling, that difference between the A-frame or the dog walk and the grass or the sand or the surface that they are running on, and that should stop them. That's what you really want them to get to. Running contacts is tricky. Good. Pause. Pause. So once you've got it on a situation like this, what you can then do is start making it on an incline. Okay. Now, I would suggest that you use a step, the bottom one or a couple of them to make an incline. I'm just going to do this so it's a small incline for you to see. And the good thing is I'm going to run her up all the way over. Pause. Good. Pause. Good. She's moving a bit, but she's not that bothered by it. So once we've got to this position, we now need to add distance to it. Now this is where it sometimes falls apart. So what you should be able to do, pause and walk on. Good. That's where you want to get to, because you want them to be so secure with their knowledge of pause, you don't even have to be there. Remember as well, you don't want to have to say pause the second that they're going to get on it. You need to tell them pause before they get there, and for them to understand what pause means. Pause. Good. So there's quite a lot to work on there. If you need any help, let me know. But hopefully that gives you a good idea of starting and to get the stopped contact. This one is much better for big dogs because they're running faster and their strides longer, so the actual contact area is quite short for them. Little dogs you can do running contacts, but they require an awful lot more work from us, and impeccable timing in the show ring normally as well. The idea of running contacts is they don't stop, they just come straight down and run on, but the idea is they don't jump off it either. They just have to run all the way to the bottom and then carry on. The reason that large dogs typically don't do it, or medium and large dogs typically don't do it, is because that one stride for them can just be from the end above the contact to the ground. So if they're in excitement, they can just take an extra long stride and get to the bottom, and they actually haven't made the contact. So for small dogs it's quite good, but again, all you're wanting to do is teach them. They come all the way to the end and then they are given the treat, and that you would just give it a different name. So for Ocean, her running is run run. Good. And she has to run run all the way to the edge. Run run. Yes. Run run. And you do that instead of the stopped. And the idea is that each time they're just going over it, but they have to put all 4 feet on it, and that's the tricky bit. So you do exactly the same thing, but you're counting the pause. Run, run, run. Yes. And that should give them time. If you are really wanting to do running contacts, let me know. And I will give you the video for that one instead. But that gives you a little insight. You can try it. But I'd suggest that the stop contacts, even though they're harder to start with and you feel a lot more complicated, you will get much better and easier results in the end. Unless you are aiming for Crufts Championship level, in which case you'll probably start with stop contacts and you'll probably move on to running at some point in the dog's career. However, most dogs will start with a stopped contact, no matter what. So give that a go and let me know how you get on.